Welcome back. President Trump rejecting Iran's response to the U.S.'s proposal to end the conflict. Writing on Truth Social yesterday, I have just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I don't like it. Totally unacceptable, writes the commander-in-chief. Iran reportedly is demanding an immediate end to the conflict, as well as a gradual reopening of the Strait of Hormuz in exchange for the U.S. lifting its blockade. And Iran wants a delay of any nuclear talks by at least 1 month. Joining me now is New York Congressman Mike Lawler, a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Congressman, I can understand why the president says it's unacceptable. It's blowing off all of the president's priorities. Your reaction?
Well, this has been the challenge with Iran from the very beginning. They try and delay talks. They try not to address the actual issue at hand in the hopes that somehow they will outlast everybody. But President Trump has shown a exorbitant amount of patience here and really a determination to end Iran's nuclear program. And I think, obviously, his visit to China this week will be critical to these discussions, because the reality is China is the biggest beneficiary of trade with Iran. China purchases 90% of Iran's petroleum. And so this has actually had a profound impact on China, on their economy, and on their oil capabilities. So ultimately, I think, things are coming to a head. Iran is going to have to give up its enriched uranium. That's the only way this is going to end. And I think President Trump understands that, and he is holding firm on that.
So, I mean, is this going to dominate the president's trip? This high-stakes summit with Xi Jinping is beginning on Thursday. This is his first trip to China since 2017. By the way, this is the first trip to China by a sitting president since 2017. So President Trump has taken the time to actually go to Beijing and host Xi Jinping, understanding that we can't decouple right now because we're so tied to them supply chain-wise. But how does the Iran war change the dynamic?
Well, there's no question the supply chain is a big focal point, inclusive of trade. I know a number of CEOs will be accompanying the president. The objective, obviously, is to address some of the economic challenges between the United States and China. But moreover, one of the things that I've talked about extensively, if you look at what happened in Venezuela, if you look at what happened in Iran, what the president has done is pull at the fabric of China's, unholy alliances around the globe that are meant to undermine and destabilize the United States and the free world. And so the impact of the Strait of Hormuz being closed has a far greater impact on China than it does the United States. And right. So there is real pressure here. And I think President Xi is going to have to come to the negotiating table with President Trump. And this is coming to a head. So I think, obviously, the timing is such that we're going to see either a big deal cut between President Trump and President Xi or continued pressure as a result of this visit. And I think it is not in China's interest for this to continue. That's the reality.
Yeah. Well, that's right. And the Journal even writes today, Xi also wants the fighting to stop as Mideast turmoil restricts China's oil supply and shrinks countries' ability to buy Chinese goods. But, I mean, Congressman, remember when China was bullying the world on rare earths, right? They didn't want to send rare earth magnets to the U.S. if the U.S. was going to use them for the military. They need to think twice about that now that the U.S. is producing more oil than Saudi and Russia combined.
Correct. And that's one of the things, my Democratic colleagues fail to recognize, why it is so important for the U.S. to continue to be the leader when it comes to energy production, and not just renewables, but oil and gas. This is vital to national security interests. And the greater capacity we have when it comes to oil and gas, the better leverage we have when it comes to dealing with these national security issues. China is understanding the very real consequences of relying so heavily on Iran. And Iran thought they were being cute by setting up a blockade, and President Trump pun intended, trump their blockade and
Yeah.
stop the flow of oil out.
Yeah, he sure did. I want to get to New York with you for sure, but quickly, a word on the reconciliation plans. You're spending much of the time right now trying to get that $72 billion package to fund immigration on the president's desk by June 1st. It's unfortunate that you've got to use reconciliation for actual appropriations. But then you've got some momentum on a third reconciliation bill. Where do you stand on that if you were to see another bill right before the midterms to include potential money for defense, as well as even elections like the Save America Act?
Well, Maria, there's no question we have to get the funding for ICE and CBP done. It's outrageous what Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries have done, forcing us to rely on reconciliation to pass what is annual appropriations bills. It is a dangerous precedent that they have created. But we need to get it done because the department needs to be fully funded. We are coming back tomorrow, and there's going to be continuing dialogue and discussions on other potential reconciliation, including, as you mentioned, support for our military as well as the Save America Act. Obviously, the Senate, with its filibuster, is a real challenge in passing certain things, and we will see what could be done through reconciliation to ensure things like voter ID and proof of citizenship, which are 80-20 issues. I mean, the American people overwhelmingly support them.
Let's talk New York. We've got new data revealing New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani's stance toward business. It could cost the city upwards of $12 billion. The socialist mayor is blowing off billionaire Ken Griffin's plans to move jobs to Miami. The Partnership for New York City revealed its 300-member firms support nearly 1 million jobs, generate $370 billion in GDP, and contribute $13.5 billion in taxes annually, Congressman. Where is New York going?
I'm shocked, Maria, that anybody would reject Zohran Mamdani's, push to raise taxes in New York. We told everybody this was going to be the consequence of his socialist agenda, that this was going to be the end result of trying to target the job creators. They don't need to be in New York anymore. If we learned anything from COVID, it was that businesses don't need to be in Midtown Manhattan in the large, commercial buildings to operate. And so the fact that he is targeting people like Ken Griffin and expecting that somehow he's going to stay, they're not. That is $6 billion worth of new investment that Ken Griffin is now saying, you know what, we don't need to do it. And you saw what happened in Chicago. He up and left. So he has already shown a willingness to leave when targeted by these folks. I think what Mamdani and Kathy Hochul, who is basically just bending the knee to him, one of the most incompetent people to ever be governor of a state. She's talking about a $268 billion budget. He is talking about billions in increased spending, and yet they're losing revenue. The tax base is depleting in New York. Trillions of dollars of economic activity over the last decade gone. Why? Because of disastrous tax and spend policies. They've learned nothing, and they're going to pay the consequence for it.
Wow, that's too bad. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. We'll keep a watch on that, certainly. Mike Lawler joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. In New York. Quick break, and then the Chief Scientific and Product Officer at Eli Lilly is here. Daniel Skub-Aronsky will join me next with the growth story and the pipeline at Lilly and the new oral weight loss drug. Stay with us.